Operation Wandering Soul, Vietnam's Ghost Warfare. 1969 to 1972. Deep in the Vietnamese jungle, Viet Cong soldiers froze in their tracks. Through the darkness came sounds that chilled them to their core, haunting music, crying children, and voices rising from nowhere. Please, brother, go back. Don't end up like me. These weren't random sounds. They were America's most unsettling weapon, Operation Wandering Soul. Weaponizing fear. The Vietnam War saw psychological warfare reach unprecedented levels. US and South Vietnamese forces discovered they could exploit a deep cultural fear, and they did. Vietnamese culture recognizes two types of death. A good death happens at home, surrounded by family, with proper burial. A bad death occurs far from home through violence or war, especially when the body cannot be recovered. Those who die bad deaths become wandering souls, spirits trapped between worlds, unable to reach the afterlife, doomed to roam in eternal suffering. By war's end, over 300,000 Vietnamese were missing, potential wandering souls. The Americans saw an opportunity. Ghost tape number 10. U.S. psychological operations teams created chilling audio recordings that mixed Buddhist funeral gongs, crying children, and most disturbingly, voices of the dead. South Vietnamese volunteers recorded messages, their voices layered with supernatural effects. Go home, my friends. Hurry, before you end up like me. Go home before it's too late. The most famous recording, Ghost Tape number 10, remains publicly available today. Leaflets accompanied the campaign, showing dead soldiers with haunting messages. His body cannot be identified. His grave cannot be marked. His soul will never find rest. The tapes were broadcast from helicopters, Navy boats, and by infantry units who would infiltrate enemy zones and play the recordings in the dead of night before disappearing. A declassified 1969 fact sheet reveals researchers studied Vietnamese folklore to weaponize other supernatural entities: ghost pigs, ghost dogs, the tightening box ghost that drove people to suicide, and spirits that lured victims to addiction and death. Did it work? The effectiveness remains debated. The Viet Cong quickly realized Americans were behind the voices. Rather than fleeing, many simply fired toward the sounds, trying to eliminate the hidden teams. Some US soldiers abandoned the tapes entirely, instead blasting American rock music through the jungle. Yet the psychological impact was real. One Viet Cong commander admitted that even knowing the tapes were fake, the messages were hard to ignore during the darkest hours of night. Raymond Dyke, commander of the US 6th Psychological Operations Battalion, claimed the tapes were so effective that forces were ordered not to play them near South Vietnamese troops. They were just as susceptible to the fear. Even when the tapes didn't terrorize, they served a purpose. When enemy units fired at the sounds, they revealed their positions, giving Americans valuable intelligence. The haunting legacy. The Vietnam War ended in 1975, with American forces withdrawing in 1973. Operation Wandering Soul concluded one of history's most eerie experiments in psychological warfare. Whether it significantly impacted the war's outcome is impossible to determine. But in the darkest jungles of Vietnam, the line between the living and the dead was deliberately blurred. Ghost Tape number 10 still echoes today, a haunting reminder that sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't a bullet, but fear itself.